As the planes kept up the fierce attack, the desperate soldiers and sailors started to defend themselves and their ships. Anti-aircraft fire burst forth from every available gun.
As the Japanese were coming in, there was one airplane that received a massive hit. They knew they were on fire. The pilot, he jerked the stick back into his gut, and he started making a climbing left-hand turn. He almost hit one of the cranes that was in the harbor. His tail gunner saw that the airplane was going to be a bad situation, and he didn't want to burn alive. He jumped. He jumped without his parachute. Another airplane had come in to lay its torpedo. And just as it was about to drop its torpedo, an anti-aircraft shell of some sort hit the torpedo warhead and exploded. This airplane crashed in the channel just off the submarine pins. Another Kate came in and tried to lay a torpedo. He was successful. He bridged the gap over a little islet and dropped his torpedo in the main channel, and it went right directly to the Nevada. But the Nevada gunners and the gunners on board the destroyer, the USS Chew, made mincemeat out of the airplane.
But even as the American counterfire thickened, the Japanese planes had already inflicted severe damage. It's 0810 hours, and in less than 10 minutes, the Japanese have succeeded in crippling half the American battle line. The Oklahoma, its hull blasted open by repeated hits, has capsized and turned turtle. The West Virginia is listing hard and threatens to roll, but the crew counterfloods, keeping the ship upright as it slowly sinks into the mud. Hundreds of men are trapped below decks as these two ships go down. For most, their ships would be their tombs.
George Gatchell, one of my very close friends. He was a prison guard that morning. And when the first 3 torpedoes hit, it slammed the cell doors shut. George had the key. He unlocked the gate, trying to get those 2 sailors out. It wouldn't open. They were just slammed shut by friction, I guess it was. And then Sergeant Willoughby said, "Where's Gatchell?" He's in the prison guard. He said, "My God, yeah, that was on below 3rd deck, which was now starting to fill up with water." And so he went down there to try to help. He said, "George, get the heck out of there." And God, water was starting to rise kind of fast, so they got a couple of battle axes and they were trying to pry the doors open. And they worked until the water was about up to their chest. And Gatchell was not that tall. He's about 5'3". And so he was kind of standing on tiptoes, and then the water got higher. And finally, Sergeant Willoughby says, "We can't get it open." He said, "We got to leave." George said, "Please, one more time, one more time." So they tried to even pound the doors with the end of the battle axe, and because we have them all over the ship. They couldn't get it open, and so finally, water was up to George's neck, and Sergeant Willoughby says, "I order you out of here, George. We can't do nothing." And as they were swimming out through the hatch, one of the sailors said, "George, for God's sakes, please don't leave us."
The California, its watertight doors open in preparation for an inspection, slowly begins to settle to the harbor bottom. The disaster is seemingly complete, but the first wave will strike one final blow that will forever be etched in the memories of those who witnessed the carnage along Battleship Row that morning. Overhead, stately formations of bomb-carrying Kates began to stream over Battleship Row. Moments later, dozens of bombs rained down on the American ships. Suddenly, a tremendous blast ripped through the Arizona, blowing men and debris hundreds of feet into the air. As flames engulfed everything forward of the conning tower, an enormous fireball unfurled over the battleship's bow. A falling bomb had struck the Arizona between the 2 forward main gun turrets and had penetrated deep into the ship before detonating. The bomb touched off the 14-inch gun magazines, and the massive explosion that followed demolished the Arizona's bow and killed almost everyone in the front half of the ship. No one present that day would ever forget that explosion.
I topped a little rise just in time to see the Arizona blow up. So that was a startling introduction to the war for me.
When the Arizona blew up, it shook that whole island like an earthquake. And I was on the other side of the island. I was running in from staggering planes, and that thing exploded, and it knocked me down running.
We never saw them because they were high-altitude bombers. And all I remember is suddenly to see the whole front of the ship disappear. And then blank after that, because we were picked up, spun around, dropped, and everything else. When we finally was able to get organized, and look back at the ship, there was nothing forward, all except black smoke, and we could see the superstructure leaning over.
We got hit, and when we were hit with that big bomb, we felt that it shook the whole ship. But that was before the explosion, see? And then when it went down in the bowels of the ship and exploded, and then the ship exploded, then we were caught in the ball of flame that went about 400 or 500 feet in the air. It just engulfed us. We had to crawl across the line to the vessel after we were burnt to get off, which was about probably 40, 45 feet in the air and about 45, 50, 60, probably 60, 70 feet across the line. And we were burnt so bad, we just pulled us like big old long gloves and throwed it down and got on the line, and across the line we went.
The Park Service figured out that it had to be a 1 kiloton explosion that shredded metal and tore the superstructures, the underpinnings of the tripod, forward tripod leg, and that's what caused the collapse. And all of this in about 20 minutes.
Battleship Row was now awash in flaming oil, debris, and dying men. And still, the bombs continued to fall.
We took a bomb hit in our turret. It hit the center gun of our turret near the chase, which is where the barrel of the gun goes into the turret itself. It was only a few inches off center, and what a lot of people might not realize, if that had been over probably 12 inches, it would have gone right down between the two barrels of the left gun and the center gun. We'd have been Arizona #2, because the black powder magazines were down in that area, and we wouldn't have made it. So fate was on our side.
A panoramic view of Battleship Row at the end of the first attack shows the damage. Taken from the USS Argonne near the 1010 dock, the scene starts with the USS California, low in the water. The camera pans to the right, showing the fleet oiler Neosho, which had been discharging fuel to Ford Island. The camera continues to the right, showing the Maryland next to the capsized Oklahoma. Beyond this pair is the West Virginia, sinking quickly and pinning the Tennessee to the quay at Ford Island. The smoke and fire engulfing the Arizona can be seen in the background.
Oklahoma was laying on its side, and Arizona was just burning like crazy, and oil all over everything. That dang bomb had hit up there on a gun deck there. Human body parts laying all over the place. Boy, I figured myself, God dang, I tell you, this is for real.
40 minutes after the initial bombs fell on Oahu, the Japanese first wave pulled off target and climbed away. They left behind a shocked and shattered Pacific fleet, reeling from the horror of a sudden and unprovoked war.